And we're back with another review from this week's GTA Online weekly update, and this is the Karin 190Z. Now, before we move on to the car, let's deal with the elephant in the room. I say Z, you may well say Z, but
why can't we all just get along?
Anyway, with that dealt with, let's move on to this car, which is available this week in the GTA Online weekly update, and it's absolutely fabulous. I love this thing. It's gorgeous. It's based on the Datsun 240Z, and unusually I have some leaked footage direct from Rockstar headquarters of the design process for this very car. So it's fair to say it's a reasonable replica. In fact, it's a fabulous replica of what was already an absolutely stunning car in real life, and it's just been reproduced so well in the game. Now, it's not all good, because I'm going to have to be honest, this isn't the fastest car you can get this week. Is it one you should buy? I think probably, but not for the reasons that you might think. So the first thing I noticed about this is the handling. And it's really, really nice. It's kind of difficult to explain because in some ways it's not good, but because it's so controllable, it's actually a huge amount of fun. The car itself feels quite heavy, which, let's be fair, it should do because this is an older sports car. They weren't really into lightening things properly back then, so it would have been a bit of a bulky beast to sort of lug around, and you do get that feeling of weight with this car. You combine that with a reasonable amount of power but not a huge amount, that makes it really controllable. So you can be quite brutal with this thing. You don't need, I was gonna say, the delicacy that you need to try and drive something like the Arbiter quickly, but I'm not actually sure it's possible to drive the Arbiter quickly, especially the HSW one. But yeah, you don't need to be particularly respectful of this thing. You just throw it around quite ham-fisted, and it will reward you for that kind of driving because it's just so easy to control and so much fun. Customization is also pretty good. I would have preferred a little bit more, and obviously with this one I've gone for kind of like a retro mod kind of feel, but there are loads of different things you can do with this thing, and they all look good. My usual caveats around white walls, but I don't think you can make this thing look bad unless you put white walls on it. Don't put white walls on it. We agreed on that? Good. So moving on to the top speed, I'm not expecting wonders out of this thing. As I've already said, it's not the fastest car you're going to get this week. In fact, it's not even the second fastest car. In fact, if I go through and check the lap times, it wouldn't surprise me if this isn't actually the slowest car you can pick up this week. But I still think you should buy it because I think everyone should have something like this in their garage. There are only so many modern supercars that you can drive, and something like this, it just feels a little bit different. But that's coming from me as an 80s child who used to see these things driving around and think, what do you do for a living that means you can drive that car? Anyway, after all that, here's the top speed it actually managed to do. And coming round here, what are final thoughts on this thing? As I've already said, it's available this week. It is a deleted car, so if you want it, you're going to have to pick it up now. At least I think it's a deleted car. So yeah, if you do want it, you are going to have to pick it up now. And it's just fabulous in every way, apart from the way it drives, which is one of the key things you want from a car. But it's still, it will look good in anyone's JDM garage, especially if you're trying to build up some of the classic stuff in your JDM garage, because that's where this sits. This sits in the sports classics category, which in a way is one of my favourite categories to drive, because every time I do a lap in the sports classics class, I get to scroll through all of the sports classics that I've got, and on the most part, you know, not you, on the most part, the cars in there are absolutely gorgeous, and this is no exception. So it's relatively cheap, it's on offer, it's available. I say go for it with this one. You won't regret it. You won't use it for anything, but it'll really look good while it's sat there gathering dust. And here's the time it managed to scrape together, which, as you can see, it's not great. It's really not. Anything over 10 minutes, you're generally talking about quite a slow car, but still worth a pickup. And as you can see, here's where it sits on the lap board. So take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all in the next one.